Hi, Jamie Edwards here, and I want to just run you through a very useful decision-making model. Very simple. Like to keep it very simple. You run through this if you've got important decisions to make coming up in the very near future. You've got one to make right now. Here's a quick model that you can take yourself through. The first thing is, though, you need to do this on paper, because most people do it in their head. And as I've said before, if you do it in your head, those thoughts are fighting with the thoughts of, you know, everyday life. You know, picking up milk, picking up the kids. So really good model. Use this lots of times. So first of all is number one. Knowing your outcome. Most people make decisions based on somebody else's outcome. So you have to describe this, lots of clarity, emotionally rich language. And that might be outcomes, by the way. So you might have an outcome or you might have an outcomes. So first one is, what's your outcome? Next, you'll have heard before, so you go, okay, what are my options? But it's not just A or B, option A or B. You see, if you've only got one option, there's no choice. So you actually need 3 or more options, okay? You need 3 or more options. So one option is no choice, 2 options is a dilemma. So we need 3 or more. So back to this. So when we take the options, we then have to write those out. So I've got option A, option B, option C. Again, we do this on paper. Why do we do it on paper? Because we're getting it out of the head, and we're going to be able to look at it from a different perspective. If it's in the head, it's like we're in the film and we can't change anything. So we've got to step out from another perspective. So option 1, define your outcome, emotionally rich. Option 2, step 2, what are your options? 3 or more. Okay, right. So what are the consequences of each of those options? So if I go back here, I'm going to say option A. All right. So what are the upsides? What are the pluses of option A? So I'm actually going to spell those out. Okay? I'm going to spell those out. What are the downsides of option A? Spell those out. Same will be. Do the same. Do the same. That's why you have to do it on paper. Again, if you do this in your head, you'll get confused. So now I've got what are the ups, what are the downs. Now I'll move to the next step. Got my consequences. Now I'm going to simply evaluate. And that can be as simple as just looking and thinking, right now, if you just look at this, one of them, you'll just go, no, forget that. I'm not having that option. Okay, so one of my favorite steps, in fact, it is my favorite step, is make it better. How can you make it better? So if we look at the options that are left, I'm going to assume that I've got A, B, D, and E left. So I run through these. How can I make this better? What can I add to it? Often, and the amount of times I've had an executive or somebody who I've walked through this process and they've gone, I never thought of it like that. I never thought that I would be able to add that. Well, it's an option. You get to that point and you ask yourself, how can I make that better? What do I need to take away from that option to make it better for me? Not the business, not the group, but how do I make it better for me? You go to option B. You do the same thing. Ask yourself the question, how can I make it better? And you do that with all of them. And so now we get to step 6, and we get to step 6, and it's basically now decide. Now step 6 is decide. You will look at what you've got left, and one of these will jump out at you. It will be staring you in the face. But here's the thing. It's the option that is closest that gives you the best chance of you meeting your outcome. I'll say that again. It gives you the best chance of you meeting your outcome. So you won't get one of those options that will be 100% that will, be your outcome. But one of them will have a higher percentage of meeting your outcome or outcomes. As I said to you at the beginning, most people don't state what their outcomes are at the beginning before they make a decision. So because you did that, you'll look at these and you'll go, wow, one of those is jumping out at me. So that's basically the decision-making model. 6 steps. Know your outcome, emotionally rich language, write it down, get it out of your head on paper so you can look at it from a different perspective. Options, what are they? You need 3 or more. 1 is no choice, 2 is a dilemma. Consequences, pluses and minuses of each one. You've got to write them down so you can see them. Evaluate, that's simply just look at it. How can you make it better? My favorite step, what can you add or take away? Get creative, by the way. Decide. Now here's what's interesting. 5 frogs on a lily pad. Okay, do the maths. 5 frogs on a lily pad. One of them decides to jump. How many left? Now if you're thinking 4, that's the wrong answer. There's actually still 5. And the reason why there's 5 is because he only decided to jump. So the next step is you've got to go and take action. So you decide, but you've got to take action as well. Use that model, use it for lots of different things. Hope that's been useful.